Hi, folks, and welcome to episode 70 of The Inquisition with Cat or Rabbit as our guest this week. Hope you're all doing well and hope you're all recovered from the snow happily enough. So we'll just be waiting for Casey. Oh, there he is. He's actually on time. Jesus Christ. What? Hey, Three Spears, how you doing? Hey, Casey, how you doing? Thumbs up's always good. Fuck, I was only late myself, man. I was only when I worked at the time. I was like, fuck, it's fucking 7:30. I was too busy playing Elden Ring and playing with the puppy. Hi, sir. Hi, you baby. Come on. Come on. The internet wants to see you. Come on. Look at
I can't
that.
see you. I can hear you doing something.
Our first official Inquisition mascot. Come.
Mascot. Got a mascot now.
Yeah, yeah, man. We're all good, man. Happy New Year to you, bud. Uh, Kat, if you just want to send us a request and we'll chuck you in, and Isla will let you in. Look at that wee face. Oh, that wee face. Oh, I'll just put you in a piece. Put you in a piece and eat you.
Some tables covered in shite.
You're covered in shite. Right, so I just sent you an invite there, Rob. Accept, please, and we'll get this show on the road, sir. There he is there.
Hey!
How you doing, bud?
I'm alright, how are you? Is the lighting alright? It's a bit... Let's move up
I
next to
can't
it.
see either of you, so I'm going to say yes.
If you take your top off,
No,
we should be
not yet.
good.
I'm not even wearing trousers.
There we
Oh, boy.
go. Good man. That's for our OnlyFans, which will be coming in summer of 2025.
That's the right way of doing it. Just no one will ever know what I've got on underneath.
Well, usually we can only see your hands, so we can never tell what you got on anyway.
It's
So
my face. People don't realise I'm an actual fucking person. Sometimes they're just like, just a pair of hands. I'm not. So,
it's in it.
yeah.
I don't know, man. AI is pretty good these days. I mean, you could just be some like fake AI generated image.
No one would ever know. No one would ever know.
Hey, so, Casey, you want to start this shindig off?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
okie dokie. Right, well, first of
ready.
all, welcome Rob, aka Cat or Rabbit Scale Model Studios. This is episode 70. Can you believe that, Sarah? Episode 70 of the Inquisition Weekly. Rob, the first question we always ask anyone that's coming along, obviously, thank you for coming along and joining us tonight. It's very
Welcome.
appreciated. How did you first get your start in the world of miniature
Well,
war painting?
I just kind of fell into it. Really, I did Gundams for a while, and then I did Gundams before they were popular and cool with the influencers. And no, I kind of used to like painting all the little inside of the frames, and after a while it gets a bit samey. And the wife kind of said to me, she said, why don't you try painting like the miniatures and that? And I kind of said, well, where do I start? I didn't know anything about Games Workshop or anything like that. And she said, why don't you try the Games Workshop in Staines? And I was kind of like, your first thought is a bit like, what, the nerd store? And I went in there, and there was a lovely guy in there, Tom Deacon, Mr. Sneaks. He's my good friend. I still speak to him to this day. He's a lovely guy. Speaks like this, really deep voice. And he went in, and I kind of explained my thing. I was like, I do Gundams. I want to try it out. And straight away he kind of went over to I remember the Tau, and I was like, no, I want to do the furthest removed thing from robots that I can possibly do. And I walked out that day with it was the Storm of Sigmar, I believe. You got 3 Liberators, 2 Retributors, 5 Blood
Okay.
Reapers, and 3 Chaos Warriors. Little tiny booklet. It was, you know, back when Warhammer Age of Sigmar was easy to understand, and I loved it. I kind of started painted them all up, and I went back, and then James, my friend James was there, and I showed him, and I got speaking to him and stuff like that, and that's how it all kind of just went. And I was like, I quite like doing this, so that's where it's just kind of stuck, really. But
So it would be fair to say then, given how a lot of people that we've talked to over the year or bit of what we've been doing this, that people have sort of did it when they were a teenager, discovered life, then came back to it later on, that you were sort of the other way around, you're a late bloomer.
I was a very, very late bloomer. I'm still waiting for these bad boys to kick in. It's, you know, just, I was probably, it was, what year is it now? 2025. I would have been doing Warhammer now for 7 years.
Okay.
And
go on, Dan.
That is quite late for someone to pick up the hobby. Like kind of like myself a wee bit. Like I was quite late, but I knew it. But I'd known about Warhammer beforehand. But to go into it just like straight off the cuff like that, that's pretty mad.
I'm 40 this year. I'm the big 40.
Welcome to the club.
Look so youthful. You'll never know. And I think with it, it's, and like when, I mean, Casey knows, we've had conversations and stuff like that. Actual fact, I'm gonna Michael you tonight.
Oh, don't Michael me. Don't do that.
I like the models. I think I'm in not so much a unique position because of, you know, there's lots of people that do stuff like I do, but I look at something and I go, yeah, I want to paint that, because I have no interest in the history of the model,
right,
or the lore of the model or anything like that. So I generally look at what I think looks quite cool. So I'm kind of not held down by that. And I think, like, in a way, that kind of attitude has done me a favor with how I pick projects and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, it's hard to speak to people sometimes, because I find like the Warhammer community is a fantastic community, but they are so passionate, and it's almost like a really avid football fan that passionately supports their team. And I do find sometimes they know all about these things and stuff like that, and it almost creeps into the real world when you speak to people sometimes. I can't remember, do you know what, I swear I was having a conversation, I think with Josh the other day about this. And I do find it's quite a pinnacle sometimes, speaking to other hobbyists that are really into Warhammer, because it's always an amazement how they bring Warhammer into everything. Like, I can't think of anything worse, going on a night out talking about Warhammer.
Yeah, fair enough.
But, like, you know, some people the other day, like, you know, there's a lovely red sunset here the other morning, and I taught my kid, you know, red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning, the old rhyme. And I know some people, you know, they would look at that sunset and be like, oh, you know, the Eye of Terror's kicking up today, and you think you have to bring it into everything. And I always think that's amazing that they you know, and it's like that it's captivated me, repulsed me, but also like fascinated me at the same time, how you know, different people look at it. And I think that's one of the things that has hooked me for so long, with, you know, the outlook and stuff like that. So.
It is quite a unique thing, especially because for you it's not the lore, it is just, you like painting the minis, you can take that step back from it all.
Yeah. So
sorry, Doug, you were going to say something, isn't it?
No, my puppy's biting my feet. I was just telling her to stop.
Don't work with kids and animals, Dunk.
That's what they say, never work with kids and animals.
Which actually segues me nicely to something that is on your account quite a bit, because you're often posting your dogs and you're out for your walk and your cats. Yeah. You and Josh have done your live stream with your kids.
Yeah.
Which,
oh, God, yeah.
you know, it looked like absolute chaos, but
It was,
fun
yeah,
at the same time.
never again.
But it also stems into that little bit of it, like you say, that you are detached from everything. You can take that step back. You can have a bit of fun with it in your own certain way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it almost allows me a lot of like creative freedom. A really good example is like on the YouTube stuff. Obviously, I have over the last couple of years heavy focus on Dark Angels. Love Dark Angels. You know, they are my kind of bread and butter. And you'll get two like flocks of people I find coming to it. You'll get someone that will see me do something really, really different with Dark Angels. A good example was the Brutalis Dreadnought, and I quartered it. So it's like quarter Deathwing, quarter Dark Angels. And people either thought it was like the best thing ever, like, oh my God, what a great idea, that works so well. And then you'll get people that will go, can't do that. And I think creative wise, it's allowed me to kind of be like, take those different kind of creative options when I paint and stuff like that and do stuff. Because I do consider myself very much, and I always say this in my videos, the average hobbyist. There isn't anything different, I think painting wise, I'm no slouch with a brush, but I'm certainly not one of the best. So I think with it, there's definitely, where I put myself, I think it's no different from what most people do. It's just that I put a camera on what I do. That's it.
Yeah, as Josh and Dave's MCD was just basically saying,
Yeah.
how dare you paint things you want the way you want to paint them.
Well, that's it. And like, there is, I think one of the really beautiful things with Warhammer and miniature painting in general is that you can hold a model up to 10,000 different people and they'll paint it a different way every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something quite magical, not to sound cheesy and cliche-y, but like about that. It's a, some people will just instantly go, oh, copy the box art, or some people will go, oh, this guy's going to be green, this guy's going to be red, this, I'm going to do this, and and it's great. So I think that's definitely some of the magic there.
That is the beauty of the hobby, though, isn't it? Is like you're spending your hard-earned money on this, so you should be able to paint it whatever way you want.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You should be able to paint it whatever way you want because it's your money, it's your model, and the haters can hate. I mean, like we've been quite vocal on here about models that we like and we don't like, and people are like, "Oh, how do you feel about that person? How do you think that person feels?" They probably don't care what a fat Scotsman and some fucking Cockney is saying on the internet about them.
Nobody cares what Casey feels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go. Nah, no one does care. But it is a fair point. Like, in our discussions before, Rob, you've always been quite vocal of the fact that if you think something looks like rubbish, you'd say it looks rubbish. If you think something's good, you'll say it's good.
Yeah.
And there's no point in not voicing criticism as well as the positives of something.
I think criticism is always a fair point, and it kind of like criticism is in everything we do. Constructive can be a really useful kind of like tool. However, to say something's bad because you think it's bad doesn't help anyone. But to say I like this or it could be better because I think is like quite a, I think that's a sentiment that I had in a lot of my kit bashing videos was that I like models, but I think I could add something to make them a little bit better, or I could change them to suit my taste. I think the understanding is, and I think a lot of people forget this, not every model is going to be for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you'll look at something and go, oh, shit. Sometimes you'll look at it and go, that is the best thing ever. And I think a lot of people forget that. And we get so used to just saying what we want through the safety of the internet, it becomes like a vocal session. And a lot of the comments that come out are just, it's bad, it's not very good. But why isn't it?
I mean, that's a brilliant point because I was quite vocal on the most recent Death Guard model that's apparently coming out. I didn't like it because the fact that it didn't look Nurgle for me. I was expecting more of a Nurgle look about it, and it seemed as though it was like a kind of mid-tier warrior that we don't really need just now. I would rather that Games Workshop or in Warhammer went and maybe made an updated Hellbrute or a Death Guard Dreadnought or something. So in that aspect, yeah, you're totally bang on. As long as you can say, as long as you're not saying it's just shit for the sake of being shit, but there's actually a reason behind it. Like, I probably will buy the model, but I might not actually, because it's not a model that I feel will bring anything to the game for me, or it was just missing something, and that's fine. You can have that opinion as well. It's just when people jump on you and go, "Oh, how dare you say that?" Well, it's my opinion. Like, you can't tell me my
Yeah,
opinion.
to call someone's opinion wrong,
Yeah,
and people on the internet will do that. It's a weird kind of like statement to say, no, you're wrong, but this is the way I feel. That's like saying the way you feel about something is wrong. Okay, but it doesn't change the fact that I do feel this way about that certain thing. And again, you know, it's like circling back there is that's where I've kind of taken stuff and gone, you know, it's not, I think I could do a little bit better, and this is how I'm going to do it. And I kind of talk you through that in my videos and stuff like that. And, you know, like a good one, they were always a good point of topic. I forget what they're called. What are the Space Marines with the T-shirt launchers?
Oh, God. If I forget the name, but the one with the Johnny Five head guns. That's how I always
It was
think about
like
it. It's like
really
Johnny Five head.
stupidly big kind of. So rather than go, you know, like, you know, okay, I don't like the look of them aesthetically. I don't get me wrong, I do like my Space Marines with a hint of ridiculousness. I think they should all have them. But also, you know, when I came to do a little video on it, it was like, well, what would I like to see? How would I change that? And that's where that video came about. And, you know, I added some of the Tactical Squad rockets. I've actually got him just here because I still haven't bothered to paint him. But I was able to kind of, you know, add the little rocket launcher to him. It was, you know, to me, it looks a bit more in scale. It looks a bit more kind of realistic, you know, but he's got the cool backpack with all the little gubbins and stuff like that. And personally, like for me, that just did it. But there's some people that like the models, the base models at face value, and that's fine. There isn't a right or wrong way to hobby. And it seems ludicrous that there's so much kind of vitriol sometimes from people about it. They don't get me wrong. If you're like a big Warhammer fan and you like getting the book and you like painting your models 100% accurate code of reply, that's the way you like to hobby. I wouldn't then come in and go, oh, what are you doing, you nerd? You put your bloody book down, you know, think for yourself. You know, whereas someone will go, no, you can't do them that way. It's like a clash of kind of cultures and ideologies of just, you know, what is the way to hobby. But it always pops up that your models, paint them how you want. And I think that's probably the best thing to just ever stand by is just the your little tiny bits of plastic you bought with your hard-earned money. And it's not just your money. I always say this, it's not just the money that you've invested in these models, it's your time. Time is something you can never get back.
until you build a time machine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If I pop up behind me in about 4 minutes, you know I did it in the future. But
Actually, just to segue into a time machine chat here, right? I was watching In Case You Missed It video on YouTube, and I need to go back and watch. Was it Gremlins? I think it's Gremlins, where the dad is at a convention and he's chatting to somebody in the. No, it's the Ginnies. Go back and watch the Ginnies, right? It's even the dad's at the convention and he's chatting to his wife on the phone. There's a guy in the background with a time machine and it cuts away and then it cuts back and the time machine's gone and he's still in the same telephone conversation.
right,
And there's
okay.
people walking about going, what's that? And I think there's like you see Steven Spielberg going about on a bike as well at the start of the Ginnies. I need to watch. It's Gremlins. Yeah,
Gremlins.
I knew it was like the Gremlins or the Ginnies. But yeah, there's a time machine, and I think that was fucking quite smart. Like, just a wee segue into.
Little touch like that, always good.
Yeah.
The first Gremlins movie is horrific when you
That's
think about
amazing.
it. That
Yeah.
dad died in the chimney.
That's what I was about to say, yeah.
What the fuck? This
I
was a kids' movie. It was like awful.
I completely forgot about that bit, and I went with some mates donkeys ago I don't know if you know, they do the Film 4 used to do the things in Somerset House where you could like outdoor cinema, and they showed Gremlins at it, and we're all sitting there, and that bit came on, and me and my mates were sitting there, like, I've forgotten this bit, and all you can hear around this outdoor courtyard is just different groups of people who have had the same four and have just started cracking up
Yeah.
at this girl's dad dying in a chimney dressed as Father Christmas, and
And
it was
it's
horrific.
absolutely horrendous. The woman gets shot out of the stairs. The thing.
Yeah,
And our stairlift gets fucked out the window to the mess
Yeah,
about.
like it was what a horrific movie. I remember the bar scene when they're just like getting smashed and it's just chaos everywhere. Like
she's serving them all, but they're launching bottles at her.
yeah. And it's like, you know, unruly like rugby fans like behave or you're not getting served. Like, fuck off. No, yeah, that's a horrific movie, Gremlins. It really is.
Actually, there's a bit where they're all like doing carol singing outside, and like she goes to throw water over them, so she thinks it's carol singers, and it is funny as fuck though. Like, but it's pretty horrific when you look back at some of the things. It's like, wow, that is.
I think it was that early kind of movie wise where like the movies I grew up on, I would not show my kids today. But this is why I'm probably in the mental state that I'm in now as an adult, because of what I watched as a kid. You know, it was just, I'm not gonna kind of go, but we kind of had free reign on a lot of stuff, me and my brother, and you know, we grew up on, you know, to us like Predator was a kids movie. We always watched Predator. You know, it's such an odd kind of thing to say. We used to watch RoboCop. Always watched RoboCop. Yeah. RoboCop 2. It was always a big one.
The Running Man. That was just mental as well.
Yeah, that was absolutely buzzsaw. So good. Do you know me? Me and Richard, Inferno Miniatures, we came up with a Running Man game once. Ask him about it. Goes, Rob wants you to know. Tell me about the Running Man game. We came up with a Running Man tabletop board game. We came up with the ideas for it.
That would be pretty sick.
That would be really, really cool. So it was a while back now, but I remember that conversation and we were planning it all out. Because again, another big horror fan. I like my horror movies and stuff like that. I know Richard does as well. Obviously, one of his most favourite movies is Shining. Same here, and we've kind of just bonded over that love for horror movies. So yeah.
Do you find that it's that again, like the sort of the horror films, the old films from the 80s and stuff like that, that sort of keeps your toe dipped into like hobbies and stuff? Because for me, like, I would say that, yeah, like looking at just how I grew up, and again, same sort of stuff I watched. You know, you can sort of switch off from something for ages, and then something will flash back up, and you're just transported back to being a kid again. And you know, it's that little sense of, I think, it's something that me and my mates talk about, that we haven't properly grown up yet because we're still so in tune with some of the stuff that we loved when we were little.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I've never really, in a sense, felt my age. I've always been quite active. Always been quite like, I guess, sprightly for someone that's always, you know, I still go out with pals. I like beer. You know, I'm a fag. You know, I've always kind of done that type of thing, but I've never really felt my age with it. So I guess in that sense, with stuff like the way I feel as an adult feels the same as a kid. It's probably why I still listen to the same albums at 25 years old. Yeah. It's the same reason why I still watch, you know, like the same type of movies. You know, whenever Shrek comes on, I'm like, classic. Can't beat it. Same with like what did I was the other day? Conan the Destroyer. I know not everyone's favourite, but you know, big fan of, you know, and my kid was there, and I'm like, all right, come here, come watch this. And she's like, this is an old movie. And I'm like, you shut up for a minute and sit down and watch it. She was like, this is boring. And I'm like, but to me, that was what, again, I grew up with. And it still feels like only yesterday that I was watching stuff like that. Ghostbusters 2, my youngest got into a little thing about getting into Ghostbusters about 2 years ago. And I hadn't seen Ghostbusters 2 for maybe 20 odd years. And it came on and I still knew it word for word. And that was it. It was just, so.
Ghostbusters.
I'm sorry, but Ghostbusters 2 is pretty horrific. Like, when you start... Will you stop that? When you start speaking to Vigo through that painting, that for me was...
The painting bit, I'm fine. I had that painting as a poster in my room when like a couple of years ago when I lived there, when I weren't in a relationship, because you can have horrific things.
You can
like
have
that.
Weird stuff when absolutely, 100%.
But like, it wasn't so much the talking to the picture; it's the bit where your man's dressed up like the nanny and he's flying through the air to steal the kid. That's messed up.
I think when Ghostbusters 2 come out, I was really into like my childhood. We had the real Ghostbusters. I loved the real Ghostbusters, like Hero Turtles and stuff like that. That was my jam growing up. And obviously, when Ghostbusters 2 come out, it seemed bigger, it seemed better. You understand more as an adult that the original is just perfect, peak cinema. But I've got a real soft spot. I know a lot of people dislike the sequel, and I can see why as I've got older. But it just holds one of those places in my heart that I love it. I think it's a great movie, and it was I think it was a good story.
I'm going to segue off that. I'm going to jump in quick because the one thing that always sticks to my mind about when Ghostbusters 2 came out, because it must have been 1991, I think.
Yeah, 91 or 92.
Yeah, and I always remember Wimpy had the tie-in and they did a lime milkshake because the Slimer, and it was fucking amazing. And then not every Wimpy did it for ages. I think there was one or two that still did, but that's how I always remember Ghostbusters 2. Freaky flying thing, Statue of Liberty at the end, lime milkshakes. There you go.
It's kind of like see the early 90s for TV was pretty good because like the big thing was obviously the X-Files back in the day. Like I'm a wee bit older than both of you. I'm like 45 now. And, like the episodes with Ewan Toombs, the guy who would sleep for like 87 years, and then he would have to eat people's livers so he could hibernate. His yellow eyes and him being able to stretch his fingers.
Was he the one that he licked the bits of newspaper?
Yeah.
That's such a good episode.
The 2 episodes, like
he was in 2 of them,
because I couldn't sleep for about 4 or 5 nights with each of those episodes. Every time I shut my eyes, I could just see his wee yellow beady eyes, and I'm like, oh, my lover.
There was a show called, I always remember the intro, and it says we control the horizontal, we control the vertical. It was like not Tales of the Unexplained. It was something really, really weird.
Tales of the Unexpected.
I think so.
The Tales of the Unexpected was the old Roald Dahl ones, wasn't it?
Oh, the Twilight Zone?
No.
Tales from the Crypt?
No, Tales from the Crypt. Hang on a minute.
Tales from Casey's bedroom?
What I've got just here is my trusty little laptop. I'm going to find out. It started and it said, you're about to enter so-and-so. Not like they enter the Twilight Zone. And they said about that. But anyway, there was an episode, and I think it was the second episode. I think it was like 6 or 7 episodes. There was one, you said about like scarred you for life. Like I grew up with like Child's Play and stuff like that. Like I don't scaries even to these days. Big like Terrifier, big on Terrifier. I like my horror, and it kind of stems from an early age.
Yeah.
But there was one that really, really freaked me out, and it was one of these episodes. It was about a troll, and it starts off with these kids playing on this bed, and they're kind of like scared of it, and you don't expect it because it happens really, really early on in the episode. You just see this hand kind of shoot up, grab this kid, and put it under the bed. And it absolutely freaked the hell out of me for ages. But then I don't know whether it's stuff like that, you know.
It was the
I
outer
always,
limits.
the Outer Limits. That was it. The Outer
Yeah.
Limits. Good man. Mine's still
I'm
loaded.
not going to lie.
Yeah.
I'm tableting it up.
Hey! The Outer Limits. It was so good. Is there an episode list there? Can you see the one about a
Yeah.
troll?
The one is under the bed.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's a horrific little 45 minutes of horror, and it's great. It's you know, it was made for TV, so it's not. But I just remember it really scared me. You know, I was talking about this the other day to someone about horror in general, about what I find scary, because I watch a lot of horror. Obviously, after a while, you come sort of desensitized to these, you know, horrific acts and stuff like that. And I think that one of the scariest things that has ever kind of the original Haunting. And it's not so much the movie itself, but one scene always sticks out to me, and it's the one where the girls are in the room next to each other, and they just hear this banging. It's really loud banging, and you know they all come into the same room and they're huddled into the bed. And I remember thinking, what's so scary about a loud noise? But if you were home alone and you just heard that banging, a really loud banging start, you would be petrified. And I think it's like a very normal space, a very normal situation, getting ready for bed, being in bed, feeling quite comfortable, and that like happening. And it got me thinking about other weird little things like that kind of freaked me out over the years. See, Drop Dead Fred?
Yeah.
What a movie. What a movie.
One I recommend best.
Do you remember the bit when Phoebe Cates is in bed and his hand comes from behind a pillow and slaps around the head?
Yeah.
Right, that freaked me out. Because one, how the hand shouldn't bend like that, but also it was just really weird because that could be, what would you do if you were laying there in your bed and something just slapped around? I love that. I love that freaky awkwardness that makes you really uncomfortable.
Flight of the Navigator freaked out Green Man. That's interesting because Flight of the Navigator wasn't really that, for me, that scary. But I can understand how it could be for some people. I think what connects to me there, he's saying, is the Poltergeist. Actually, no. Poltergeist 2, the second one.
Is that the one in the tower block?
No, that was the third one. The second one was the one with the priest.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
He was a creepy priest, and he would just walk around singing the intro to a hymn. And any time that came on, my sister would fucking freak out. Not because of the song, but because of how creepy the priest was looking. And I tell you what, another one that used to shit me up as a kid, and this isn't a horror thing, it's just completely weird. The intro to Wurzel Gummidge. When he's standing there in that field, it's pissing down with rain, it's grey, it's muddy, it's filthy, and he's doing this, and he just looks up and grins at the camera. Right, so that used to shit me up.
Wurzel Gummidge was my first true fear, because my brother used to tell me that Wurzel Gummidge was under my bed. Because we had bunk beds, and I was always on the bottom, he was on the top, and he always used to say, you know, don't let Wurzel Gummidge get you. Just, you know, thanks, bro. Appreciate it, mate. Cheers to the childhood trauma.
Josh is saying he gets freaked out by the film The Others.
That's the bit with the alien that just walks past. Yeah, that scarred a generation. That was horrific.
See, when you say The Others, I'm thinking of the one. Is that the one with Nicole Kidman in it, or is that the other one? There was a couple of them, I think, called The Others, weren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of Signs. Yeah, The Others.
Yeah. The Others is the one where Nicole Kidman and the kids move to a house.
With the ground.
And it's just like creepy old people.
Yeah.
I remember watching the first season of American Horror Story. That was probably one of the best seasons of American Horror Story. And the bit where the guy turns up in the gimp suit, that freaked me out. And it got to the stage where me and the missus would have to make deals before we started watching scary things. that she wouldn't give me a fright
And you
if I went.
wouldn't wear the ginter
I
suit.
wouldn't wear a gimper, and I went, and I would go to the toilet with her.
You say that. What was the? It was a Guillermo del Toro, The Orphanage, about
Yeah.
a kid that wears the sack over its head. And it was a spiteful little shit. And I think that was one of the only times I had to say to the wife, "You go first. We're going to bed, but you go first. I just want to make sure everything's okay." Yeah, that was a horrible little movie. That was great.
You know what?
It is just amazing how like these sort of like I remember playing. Well, I used to play Dead Island a lot, right? The very first one. And I don't know if any of you
great game. Yeah.
See the screamers that make the screaming and they just run at you. Had their arms were knives, and they would just hit you. And it was like halfway through the game. That used to freak me out, and I used to have to like if I went to pick up the missus, I would have to run at my car and just get in the car and then lock the door. So I could hear the scream because I played it that much and that for such a long time. I could hear the screams in my head.
It is strange how these things do affect us, even though like we're grown bloody men. And, you know, they can still shut us up. I've got a friend who can't watch. I can't remember the name of the film now. Oh, it's like the little devil pop. It's one with like this little devil. I can't remember. It pops up behind him in the film, and it shit my mate up. So what my friends did, they sort of looked at it and realised it looks like Darth Maul from Star Wars. So they bought a cuddly toy Darth Maul and used to put it on his living room window when they go past his house every night. So when he opened up his curtains first thing in the morning, his fucking thing was there and it used to shit him up.
Was that the first Conjuring?
Yes. Yes, it was. I was thinking, could it be The Conjuring? I couldn't remember it, but yeah, you're right.
No, it's the same guy. It's not The Conjuring.
Is it not? I can't remember. For life of me, I can't remember. I'll ask him and find out. All I can remember, it's got the guy that played the CIA dude from the A-Team in it.
Patrick Wilson.
Yes.
Right, hang on. I'll tell you.
That would have been like Annabelle or something then.
Oh, I'm gonna have a Google as well. Insidious, yes. Thank you.
It was, yes, that was it. Yeah, because
Just
there
silly
was
little
a
things
few
like that.
that always confused me. And it was like they all released the same time. There was The Conjuring, there was Insidious, and then there was the one with Ethan Hawke that I always forget the name.
That's a great film.
About the suicides. He watches the tapes.
The Black Phone, is it?
No, that was a recent one. It was
the one with the mask.
Sinister.
Yeah, this guy.
Sinister. Yeah.
Sinister. That's it. Yeah, they all kind of released at the same time. They always kind of they kind of mold into Sinister. That was it. That was a good movie.
Yeah,
enjoyed the second one as well, actually.
Yeah, they were
that's on Netflix.
Yeah, good. I like that. I enjoyed it.
Give that a look. So we've segued nicely, I think, off of hobbying and into the realms of what we do outside of hobbying, and I think we'll continue this for a little bit now. As you're a first-time guest, you have to go through the rigmarole of the first-time guest questions.
Okay.
So, you've mentioned that you enjoy a beer. Would you say when you're sitting down on your read, you're about to stick your favourite horror film on, are you sitting there with a beer or a different drink? What's your drink of choice?
So I always go for a cup of tea.
Actually, yes.
I am a Yorkshire Gold man, through and through. I think any other tea is beneath me. I think less of people for drinking other brands. A bit like musicals, you know. I detest musicals, and if you enjoy musicals, I think less of you as well. That's the same goes for Yorkshire Gold tea, Yorkshire Gold. I like, you know, and that tends to be my kind of. I would literally release one after each other. These days, I kind of do moderate. I do enjoy these days a matcha green tea.
Oh, you've gone up market. You've changed since I've met you. You've changed.
It's all about YouTube revenue. All £1.48 of it. No, I like a matcher. I think as I've got, obviously, especially over the last year with my knee injury, I've got a knee injury at the moment, which has been going on for nearly a year, which has been horrendous. I've kind of just, because I haven't been able, I do like running. I do running quite a lot. So I go to gym, stuff like that, and I haven't been able to do it for the last year because of fractured knee.
Yeah.
It's taken a while for them to identify it, and it feels at the moment that we're no longer, nearer to a solution with what's going on. They put me in they call it an offloading brace, which is, when they said about, they rang me up and they were like, oh, by the way, you've got a fractured knee. And I was like, okay, we're going to put you in a brace. And the first thing I said is, not like Forrest Gump, you're not. And they were like, no, it's not like that anymore. And, it's really sleek. It kind of goes around your thigh and down your lower bit of your tibia. It's got this cork hinge in it and stuff like that. But it really, really hurts. I don't think it's done what it should have done. They were obviously going to try it. So I've now got another MRI due up. So I'll go to that. And there is talk of surgery now, which I'm hoping it will. The reason why I haven't hobbied much lately, I kind of didn't do anything in December, is because I find it really, really hard. If you see me shuffling about a bit, it's because I find it really hard to sit still for a long period of time. It's hard to concentrate because the leg gets stiff, it gets painful, and I'm just kind of like so over it. But it's something that needs to be sorted, and yeah, that's that.
I'll go back to our first time questions again in a second, but have you figured out what caused the fracture?
No.
I can't remember if we talked about that.
No, I think it's when I did a 10K in Hyde Park, and I think I must have maybe landed a bit too heavily on my foot, although I didn't stumble or trip or anything like that. I think I must have done something then, because that's when I noticed the pain after that first kind of run of the year. And I just think maybe I landed too heavily on my foot or whatever. That's the only thing I can kind of pinpoint it to, when the pain started, to when it was kind of, so yeah.
You even went up and down Snowdon with it, didn't you? You didn't know at the time. Yeah.
I just thought it was like I don't know, maybe I'm a victim of my generation here. I'm a child of the 80s. You get a pain, you go, it'll be all right. It'll wear off, Just it's me being silly. And I actually did the charity for Lymphoma Action and went up. I climbed Snowdonia, but we also did the hardest one up. We did the Watkins Trail up, which was the hardest path you can go up. So a lot of scrambling, a lot of climbing, raised a good amount of money. But then on the way down, we did the Ride Do, which was along the peak of the mountain.
Yep.
So you were literally just exposed to the elements because you had nowhere to fucking hide. It was horrendous, and I did all that with a fractured knee because there was me just thinking it was a
sore knee.
That's
just a typical bit of thickness that everybody has. Like, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And your missus are like, you're not going to be fine. Go to the doctors. I don't need the doctors. I know my body. And then before you know it, you're always going to get amputated from the knee down.
Yeah.
And then that's your Olympic dream over. Do you know what I mean? For another lifetime.
It's certainly like with the pain you do. And I did go to the doctors, and they kept saying it was gout. They kept saying to them I had gout, and they were like, drink more water. And I was like, well, I drink. We've got lovely water machine at work. I'm like, well, I probably do like 2 litres of water a day. Easy. You could bottle my piss and sell it to the middle class. They'd never know. It's that clear.
West London's free.
That's what it is. Yeah, it's like Thames Water. Just, and then I'm now going to charge you for broken pipes as well. And then he was like, well, you need to exercise more. And I'm like, well, I just climbed Snowdonia. I run. I'm not exactly a guy. I look after myself. I like Chinese. I do like Chinese. But other than that, I'm pretty conscious of what I watch, and and I look after myself. I've got kids, so I want to be running about for a long time. And everything he kind of said to me, I was like, well, I eat sensibly. all right, I do like a drink, and I do have a cigarette when I drink, but that's within a binge. So at the moment, I'm doing dry January, like a bit of a. I weren't gonna, but no one's out at the moment, so I've just been doing it.
Not by
Until
choice.
someone goes, we're out this weekend, I go, all right, I'm not doing this anymore. So I've been good. I'm not, I don't smoke. I like a cigarette if I have a beer. I like to think I'm quite sensible with my little bits of pleasure. But yeah, it's just snowball, and it's just this bloody knee. Anyway.
And how's dry January going for you though? Like, because me and the wife did 90 days, was it? We did about 4 or 5 years. We did 90 days. In fact, it was in 2020 we did 90 days, because just in the last day, our last day of the 90 days, lockdown happened.
Yeah. Oh.
If there's any reason to drink, there you go.
Yeah, that would be it.
And then I went and bought a Phillips Perfect Draft beer machine, and like made up for it over 2 years.
Just got tagged up on kegs. Brilliant.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. I wouldn't say I'm chomping at the bit yet, but towards the end of the month when payday hits and all the boys are going out, that'll be the real test of the spirit, where you go.
Yeah, you can't just go out and have a Coke, or they give it the big and about the non-alcohol beers, but come on, they're not as good. We all know they're not as good.
We've got a friend, my friend Chris Howitt, bless him, and he had pancreatitis really, really badly a couple of years ago, nearly killed him. He's actually stopped drinking, and I sit there some days with him, and like I say to him, like, how's, and we have like Guinness Zero or like the Beck's Blue stuff and stuff like that, and I go, what's it like? And he often says to me, it's really hard not being on the level with your friends, but also to see, the humour and the conversations change as the night goes on.
Yeah.
Like when you first meet them, you're like, oh, all right, how's work? And then you're like, yeah, it's good. And then 10 pints later, you're like going, do you think you could throw a hula hoop from a mile away and land it on my erection? Let's do it. That's what it is. And you're still sitting there going, yeah, I'm fine, thank you. And it's awful to kind of do that. I've done it a few times where I've been on medication, and I've been with my mates, and I'm at the bar and they're talking to me, and I go, I can't understand a word anyone is saying to me. Do I sound like this when I'm, So yeah.
Yeah, I was sober for about a year. Me and the wife went off it for about a year, and I was out with one of the boys, and I think I was like 6 pints in, and then they started arguing over fucking who was a better tennis player. And I was like, we don't even fucking watch tennis.
That's the brilliance of it, because you only have that conversation under those circumstances.
Yep.
So
I phoned Geraldine, and I was like, right, I'm coming home, and she's like, why? I said, they're fucking talking about tennis. Like, I live in Donegal. They've probably never even seen a fucking tennis court. And they're arguing who would beat who, Djokovic or fucking Pete Sampras. It's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And then they're like, right argumentative about it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm going home.
But you also think, when did you become tennis expert?
I know.
Yeah.
It's like,
and I was like, no, like, on
every bloke in Britain when the Olympics on. And I love that. And it's like, you'll get the gymnast, and she'll do like the triple handspring into the backflip, and she'll just fumble her dismount. And there's me with no top on or trousers, bag of Doritos, dribbling down myself, going, "Oh, you fucking hell, haven't you?" And it's just like, where does that compensate? When did I become an expert on this? And it's just, I love it. I think that's
it's what we do best. It's what we do best.
It's just, and I think that's
what's the other one we do it with? Like cricket and Wimbledon. Wimbledon's always the big one.
Wimbledon.
Sticking with tennis. I've been to Wimbledon. I've seen it. I can't stand watching tennis. It's boring as shit.
A lot of my pals are big on darts at the moment.
Darts, yeah.
had a whole conversation the other day about Phil Taylor and what weight darts he used. Yeah, that was interesting. But that isn't a conversation we would ever have had sober. But all of a sudden, we're fucking experts, and I think that's it's we as men, we have a really good way of doing that.
Yeah. So you actually just touched on something. Sorry, Duncan, for cutting you off again.
All right.
We talked about your drink of choice. You just mentioned your Doritos. Is that your crisp of choice, or are you having something else?
Oh, do you know what? I like the underrated. I like squares.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I like skips.
Yeah, okay. They're floaty light.
I'll pop them on my tongue.
The fizz.
However, do I like Doritos? I guess you pick from the big three with Doritos, didn't you? And that's going to tell you a lot about, like Cola Original is going to tell you that I've only ever done missionary, whereas something like Tangy Cheese, Chili Heatwave, I'm a bit more open to most things. I think, I just. I would probably say I'm Tangy Cheese. I can be naughty when I want to be, just.
I am never going to look at Doritos ever again.
When you might say, do you want some Cool Original? You'd be like, fuck off.
I fucking love the original flavour as well. That's the thing. I fucking love the blue bag as well.
Just imagine. Nah, you get on top again tonight, love. Go on.
I'm having my Doritos and I can't do both. That's it. That's
you know what? I did have the other day from Burger King the chicken things covered in the chili heatwave stuff.
Yeah, they. What was the ones I had the other week? It was like the crispy bits were made out of like bashed up cornflakes, and it made like this crispy. It was really good. Yeah, I'm all for it. I think it was more Frosties, but.
Sugar as well as on your chicken.
Yeah, it was off my bits afterwards, but yeah, it's fine.
And we always had loads of other first-time guest questions. We'll get back onto some of them when we talk hobby again in a little bit. Might as well just stay off topic. Sorry, I've talked over you loads tonight, mate. If you've got any questions, go ahead.
No, wait. So I fucking hate the Beatles, right? I fucking despise the Beatles. Where do you stand in the Beatles?
Yeah.
Are you pro Beatle or are you anti Beatle?
I think if I had to choose, I'd probably be anti Beatle.
Good man.
But if we could just keep George Harrison's solo career, just as a little kind of, if we're going to do them, we'll do all of them, but we'll leave George out of it.
You have to keep Ringo for Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, but Ringo, shit.
Yeah, but Thomas the Tank Engine was the pinnacle of his career. You forget the Beatles.
Thomas the Tank Engine is where you peaked. What does it say about it? Yeah, but what about Salt and Pepper? Just shut up and play the fucking theme song with it.
I was watching, slight segue here, right? But we're on staying Thomas the Tank Engine. I was watching that John Oliver last week tonight, and he was doing something about, he was segueing into depression, right? And they went back to an episode of Thomas the Tank Engine, and it was like some train was just too depressed to go out and do his train work. So they fucking put him in a fucking tunnel and boarded him up and just left him there.
I've seen that. But
I remember that. I can remember that.
What are you getting depressed for?
Yeah.
It was raining. He didn't want to come out of the tunnel because his paint would get mashed up. So they were like, well, fuck you then, and just bricked him up in the tunnel. Yeah, that's the end. He's there and there.
Legend says he's still there to this day. Plotting against the Fat Controller, yeah.
We
can't call him fat anymore. What is it? You can't call him fat anymore, can you?
It was always the Fat Controller with the big top hat.
Yeah. He's Topham Hatt now. You can't call him fat anymore.
What's he called?
Topham Hatt.
Some Topham Hatt.
Yes.
It shows because when my eldest was into Thomas Tank Engine, it was still the Fat Controller.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it since. I've got a little like nephew, cousin from my wife's auntie. I don't know what it is. Cousin.
Hybrid.
Loves just nothing to do with me. Thomas Tank Engine, and I just always assumed it was, I'm still running around doing the voices, going, "Oh, hello, Thomas," like that, and it's. I didn't know that. I mean, okay, well, R.I.P. Another one gone to the history books.
Or one out for your fat controller. There you
That's
go.
it. We're in mourning. Okay.
Bloody hell.
But yeah, so I fucking hate the Beatles, man. Who would be your if you're listening to music, if you're doing like painting or watching gymnasts and with the sound off and listening to music? Who would you listen? What would be your
Well, to
band
keep
of
the
choice?
sexual vibe, I'll probably stick on some Venga Boys or something like that. But
No Lil Louis, the French Kiss.
nah, none of that. None of that. Maybe some. Who's going to get me? Who's going to get me going when I'm doing the Olympics? I don't know. That's a pretty tough one, actually. Put me right on the spot there. Yeah.
This is what we do. We like to ask the tough questions that nobody
I was going to say
thinks of asking.
this is what I didn't expect. I mean, I like the Water Boys. Big fan of the Water Boys. Maybe the Squeeze. Not bad. When Jules Holland was in it. Yeah, I'd probably maybe go from there. If a band, I don't know who would I. So I've always kind of liked my American street punk. I was always kind of into that side of things growing up. So that's always kind of stuck with me. Things.
You often repost the same video to Talking Heads.
I loved Talking Heads. Life During Wartime is such a good song, and that whole concert, Stop Making Sense, is amazing because it starts off with just him, and by the end of it, there is a full band, backing singers, dancers, and it all just comes together, and it's amazing to watch that whole thing. And when he brings out the big suit, it's iconic. Like, I know a lot of people think it's stupid, but that was like a really big thing, for pop music. And I just think like they were really, really, they were a big deal. Talking Heads. Funny enough, you say that they were always lumped in because they started off at CBGB. They were lumped in with supporting and playing for punk bands, and a lot of their early following was punk artists. Right? And you can almost hear that influence in a lot of their early stuff, where they were trying to cater to a crowd. And it's as it went on, it obviously evolved into something a bit more different that we know as the Talking Heads, which is very cool, actually. So there's just a little tidbit for you there.
Yeah, it's just because every now and again, when with regularity, is you always post that one video of David Byrne dancing, and it always just sticks in my head when you do it.
I post it because more people need to know the brilliance of Talking Heads. Absolutely, 100%. So, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. See, we not only answer the tough questions, we give the tough answers for you.
Absolutely.
You might as well just sit there and we'll ask the questions and answer them for you. And you could be like,
that's it. And I'll just think of them Doritos.
Just put your gammy knee up and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with actually on your gammy knee, because you're always taking your dog out for a walk, how has it been with like the pets and the kids and everything like that? How's it been trying to balance that all out?
It's testing. Obviously, the wife will take the dog out as much as she can for me. We're lucky enough to have the laziest sausage dog in the world. It was actually, in fact, on Saturday was his birthday. He turned 4, so little Watson's turned 4. But he wants to go out less than you do. So he's pretty good at just kind of walking just up and down the road, doing his business, and then going back to bed. That's kind of like his MO. The kids, it doesn't really stop us from being active. They do a lot of dance. Both my girls do dance. My eldest does jazz and modern, and my youngest does ballet and jazz modern. Don't know which one. Obviously, I'm a very involved parent, as you can see. you know, they're there on a Monday, on a Wednesday, on a Friday, you know, after school. They really do work hard at it, bless them. And obviously being 13 and 8 respectively, you know, they are busy little things. On the weekend, yeah, they come around and do the dog with me and stuff like that, but it's just a lot of walking and taking it easy. So it hasn't really impeded too much, but it's definitely, you know, I tend to stick to the main paths now, and yeah, which is it's quite a grounded question now, isn't it?
I did a 5K in Boxing Day. There was a kind of St Stephen's Day charity 5K here in Ireland, and when I first met my wife now, our third date was what, a 10K, and I said to the boys when I was out with the boys stupidly the night before. This was when I was a lot thinner and a lot fitter. And I said to the boys, he says, "Look, can you get too pissed tonight? I'm going out with this girl, this lassie Geraldine. I'm really impressed with this 10K. Long story short, I never get at 4 o'clock in the morning. She picked me up at 6, right? So my plan was, my first 10K was to impress her by just taking off and just try to keep a distance between me and her. I think I got to the 7K point, and the guy in the gorilla suit overtook me because I didn't like an hour and 25 minutes. I was absolutely dying. So about 3 months later, we did another 10K, and I actually stayed sober and absolutely, I was ahead of her the whole way. And then there was like one water stop. So I picked up 2 cups of water, and she overtook me. Like, I'm going to beat you again. And I just ran up behind her and just chucked the water down her back. And it was like the middle of fucking November. She was raging. So I took off again, right, and absolutely smashed her, right. So she was like, I might do this in Stephen's Day 5K in Boxing Day. I thought I might do that as well. So this could like bring a close to a trilogy. Like, who's the overall fittest person in the family?
Free, yeah.
Yeah, like and I was like, I'm running absolutely smash you this time. And she's like, you can even run a bath. I was like, Geraldine, you don't lose it up there. I am running smash you senseless. I don't think I get anywhere near her. I think pretty much when we stood beside each other at the start, I knew she was going to beat me. But when she finished, right, I was like, how do you, it took like 45 minutes to do it. I was actually quite impressed I did it in under an hour. Because my whole vibe was, as long as somebody walking a dog doesn't beat me, I'll be quite happy. Right? Because I'm now like 20 stone, right? And I'm fucking mid 40s. Geraldine did it in like 33 minutes or something, 32 minutes. So I was like, man, you done well. And she went, I actually thought you were going to like sprint up behind me in like the last 50 metres and like beat me. And I was like, Geraldine, I couldn't run a bath right now. But I actually enjoyed it. Like, I might get back into the running. Might do another run in
I think
December.
there's something quite therapeutic about it. It's just putting your headphones on and just going.
Yeah.
I think
That's how I approach my lovemaking. Put the headphones on.
Headphones on.
Try and beat the intro. You know what I mean? Like, one day I'll get by the intro.
just so it doesn't, you know, oh, I missed that bit. No. We're done. Sorry about that. Yeah,
I do agree with you though. You are right, Perry. Like I usually go on a treadmill, but recently I go out and about every now and again, and it is nice just to get fresh air and not see the same walls and just do something a bit different, isn't it? I always
feel like dog walking is good for the soul. You know, I go out, I just slowly just mooch round. I'm watching him having a fantastic time, having a shit, picking his shit up and carrying it around in a little bag with me. He's a nice little souvenir, really. And then, but it's like you meet people, and dog walking is always a funny one. And I think most people with a dog will feel this sentiment. Is that I know a lot of people, but I only know the dogs' names.
Yeah.
So there's a little. It took me ages, and I only found out she moved away recently. There was another little sausage dog that Watson really, really liked, and the dog's name's Mabel, and I knew it as Mabel's owner. And so, like, you would always kind of like, I'm always quite conscious when I'm starting talking to people, and you're with a few of them that I don't have to address anyone.
Yeah.
Because you're like, excuse me, Mabel's owner, can he have a treat? you know, it was like, you know, weird that you do this. And then, I mean, it's taken me a good couple of years now to do it, but you kind of get like a little social group and everyone says hello. It's quite nice, actually, the dog walking side of things.
I rationalise that to being a dad as well,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Sarah will know every parent's name in Oscar's class and who their kids are and stuff. And I'll just look up at that. Oh, that's Oliver's mum and dad.
Yeah,
Don't know.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see them about, you're like, hello, and then you think, don't know your name. Yeah,
Please don't
fuck it.
talk to me.
Or
Yeah.
when your wife telling you a story, she went, "Oh, David," and you're like, "Who's David?" Oh, that's Josh's dad. Oh yeah, what about him? Well, he had a fight with Robert. What? Who the fuck's Robert?
Yeah.
Just give me in fucking child's names, dads. Don't give me the actual parent's name. Just tell me the child
Yeah.
that it's associated with.
It wasn't a child, it was me. One punch went down. I feel this a lot. It's, you know, I try and be involved, but it's really hard to some days, because it's like when people talk to you and they're like, "Oh yeah, cousin so and so," and you're like, "I don't know these people." You are aware that I don't know who these people are, and they're telling you the story as if you should know these people, and then it makes me doubt myself. Maybe I do know cousin Stephen. I don't know. Do I?
Yep.
You know, and it's really, you know, I don't know these people, but should I?
And then your wife gets annoyed at you because you don't know the people that she's talking about, and then that's somehow your fault because you don't listen to what she says. Like, I don't care about fucking wee Jack's mum and dad's fucking new fucking Land Rover Lamborghini. I don't actually give a monkey's fuck.
Unless they're going to come pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They want to know. So
how is this affecting our child? It's not. I don't care.
yeah, does anything directly or indirectly affect our kid, or is our kid related to this incident? No. Please don't tell me then. I don't want to know.
It's also like another thing. It's like is when you'd see your old gran after ages, like a couple of weeks or months, and she'd look at you and your parents and like, "Oh, you never guess who's dead," and then she'd reel off this name and you're like, "Who the fuck is that?" And then you look at your dad, and you're like, "Who's that?" And even your dad's like, "I don't fucking know."
And it's like I don't know who these people are.
Yeah. Why is this interesting to me?
It's baffling. It's a bit of an odd one.
Yeah.
I actually caught my wife the other day there, right? We're not from Donegal, right? But I actually seen her going through the obituary notice. And I was like, why are you going through the obituaries, Geraldine? Like, are you going through the obituaries in Paisley? She's like, no, the ones in Donegal. And I was like, why? Well, you never know who's dead. We don't know anybody in Donegal apart from your family.
Who people are anyway, it doesn't matter. The whole town could have been wiped out overnight. Wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah. That's a very Irish thing as well. Everyone in Ireland loves watching the obituaries and stuff. As a kid, we'd go to this place, like where my dad's family are from, near Castle Bar. You might know where it is roughly. And to the life of me, I remember this argument between my dad's uncle and his cousin. They're both farmers. They're standing in a field. They're looking at this sheep skull, and they're arguing whose sheep it was. Because my dad's uncle swore it was his, but my dad's cousin was like, no, that ain't your sheep. That belonged to him down the road. And you're like, it's a fucking skull. You mad pair of bastards. How do you know who it belongs to?
So
Why do you
let's resolve this. What are we going to do if it is yours?
Exactly.
You probably knew what sheep it was as well. That's the saddest part. Oh, it was fucking Polly. Oh, she's a good sheep. How do you know? Oh, just the shape of your horse.
I recognise that fraction.
Yeah, it's just the madness of them. It's the madness of it, isn't it? It's just like how they having these discussions about shit that just doesn't really affect them because the fucking thing's dead anyway.
It doesn't matter.
So
completely irrelevant unless you're arguing over who gets the cool looking ashtray. That's about it.
we did actually take a sheep skull home from Ireland, and my dad had it on his garden fence for donkeys. He had it up there for like 20 plus years. Eventually, it just rotted away to a jawbone. It was horrific.
Dust, yeah.
That's it. It was good fun.
And is that why your dad's brothers don't speak to him? Because he took the fucking sheep skull without anybody knowing?
Yeah, pretty much. Takes us a job guy to Ireland ever again.
It's when they find out who killed the sheep.
It was my dad. Spoilers.
Be like, well, that's not the least of your worries.
Speaking of Ireland, Dunk,
Yeah.
what does every good Catholic in Ireland hate?
Orange men.
The orange men. And I'll tell you what, they're not orange men, but Orange Brushes could create our sponsor. I'm getting gibberish here, but they create great sable brushes at a very low price. They sponsor us. I don't have the brushes with me right now, which is why I'm holding an orange. I'll put it back in the fruit bowl. Give them a look on their Instagram or their website and use the code Inquisition for 10% off at your checkout. What a segue. Shame I fucked it up.
That was if this was a YouTube video, this is where I would have skipped to after that. I honestly just I dread the day where someone goes, we want 30 seconds of your video, and you think,
yeah. It's always the thing whenever you start a podcast, skip the first minute of it just in case.
Yeah. For the spot.
That's usually when you turn up.
Yeah, usually. And there you go. Josh endorses them too, so there we go.
There we go. Nice. I've been, funny enough, brushes wise, I've been using these from Artify.
Oh.
And I got given these for free. So that's why I'm using them.
There we go. Are they good brushes? Would you like to promote them?
Not really.
Fair
no, I don't want to promote them. They're good brushes. They're all right. You know, they're just they're all right. Fuck it. They're okay. Yeah.
They do the job.
They do it. They get paint on a miniature. It's fine. I could do the same thing with a trowel. But no, yeah, they're all right. It's yeah, good.
Cool.
So I'm just going to jump onto hobby this now, right? Because we've been withering on since our segue with fucking the Gremlins murdering an entire town and nobody realising. So when you're doing your painting, obviously everybody starts off with Citadel paints. What sort of paints do you use now? Are you still a Citadel man, or have you moved on to other brands?
The majority of paints that I use are Citadel. And I think that stems because that's what when I first got into the hobby, I invested a lot of money in Citadel. And so they tend to be my go-to. I try and be a very big advocate for what I like to call the hobby toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that it should all be down to one brand. Like I've got a lot of Pro Acryl stuff here, which I use. I really, really like the Army Painter. I like the Army Painter Speed Paints. I think they're really good. Dark Star do some amazing metallics. They are my go-to at the moment. They also do some really, really cool washes.
I've never heard of them. Are they a British company? Or?
Yeah, they are. There they are. There, it's Dark Star, but they do a lot of like metallics, and they do pearlescent paints. But they do a lot. And the nice thing about it, they mix really, really well, so you can get a very cool effect from them. But yeah, big fan of those. But I like to think that, and I think sometimes this is where expectations with paint ranges, I sometimes think are a little bit skewed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I mean by that is, so I've got 2 racks there, 3 racks of Citadel, plus a paint pot there of washes, technical paints. I've got a drawer full of specialist paints down here. I've invested a lot of money in Citadel paints. So when a new paint range comes out, what I like to do is I like to cherry pick what I think works for me and the colours that I'm interested in, and I add them to my little kind of collection of, I guess, majority Citadel stuff. And I think sometimes the realistic option is that people don't seem to think that when they release paint ranges, they're going to go, this is my new bread and butter, this is what I'm going with. And they're going to just bin off all their other paints, and this is what they're going to invest their money in. And I think that's one of the most almost like ridiculous things that like a paint company or paint manufacturer can do. I had when I was speaking with Adam from the Army Painter, we had this exact same conversation. I chased him for a while because I really wanted to try the paints out, and I ended up having a video call with Adam. A lot of people probably know him from the YouTube How To video. He's a really, really lovely guy.
Yeah, we had him on as a guest as well. I actually reached out to see if he would sponsor us, and he went no. And then I says, "Well, do you fancy coming on the podcast then?" And he went, "Aye." And then he came on. He was a brilliant guy to talk to. Really,
Yeah,
really nice.
he's such an interesting fan, and he's got like a really good, and he understands that. He understands even now that working for Army Painter, that someone who's invested years and X amount of money in a range, they're not going to kind of just bin that off and they're going to go with these. But what they can do is they can pick out the colours they want. And he was just like a really refreshing guy to hear someone speak like that. And I know the Army Painter, they got a lot of stick for their speed paint stuff, and I kind of did point out a lot of the issues with that in my own little video. But I do think sometimes it's paint wise, there isn't an answer, and there isn't. You shouldn't use Citadel because I use Citadel, or because you use Citadel. You should use it because you know how certain paints work. Mm-hmm. Like I know what paints I can slap on. I know what paints need a little bit more water. You kind of get that feel for it, and every range is different. And I think there's a lot out there, and I think it's silly that people kind of they obsessively, again, going back to that almost like football team mentality for stuff. I'm Citadel through and through, and everything else is just shit. And I think that's a really, really bad outlet because you're missing out on a lot of good products that way. So
definitely, I think it's also probably a little bit, I would say, driven almost by fear. Would you say that? Like, especially with like the Games Workshop stuff, you buy a Games Workshop Mini, they're gonna sell you the Games Workshop paints as an add-on. So for people to sort of step out of their comfort zone a little bit sometimes, because I'll admit, like when I first did it, I never strayed away from a Citadel product. Now I'm a little bit more willing to go out and give something else a try. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I've at least dipped my toe.
I was very much like that when I started. One of the good things about starting YouTube is it's pushed me to do more things that I wouldn't, and try out more things that I wouldn't. And I think it's been a really good, because you're trying to constantly make videos and stuff like that, and you're going, well, what can I do next? What can I try next? What can I use next? And I think this is where the kind of the way of reaching out to companies and working with other companies, I've built some really good relationships with people, through other brands, that you do kind of you put yourself out there a little bit more, and it pays off. And I think it's definitely, don't be scared to try different paints, different brands, because it could be your next favorite. Some people really, really like Vallejo metallics, whereas personally, like, if I put my hand on my heart, I've never had a problem with the Citadel ones. A big point of contention people always do, Corax White. A lot of people don't like Corax White. I think it's one of the best whites on the market, but I've learned how to use it over the years. I know when it's too watery, I know when it's too thick, I know how much to add it. Well, on my wet palette and that, you learn this and you get a feel for it, and there isn't a right or wrong answer. That's just how I feel about it. Some people might get on with it, some people might not.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point. It's learning how to use a paint. Like we all know, we've all seen Warhammer last when she was doing our orange tutorial on how to get a perfect orange. And it's those wee things like being able to putting a paint on top of a paint so it actually shows through. Those wee things. It's not just saying, oh, that orange is shit. Well, not really. You might have to fucking put something underneath the orange for the orange to stick.
It's always the mind-blowing one of people undercoating yellow with magenta as well. Like you think, oh, I'm painting yellow, I'll stick white on it. No. So many people now are just saying, use a magenta, use a red. And it just, the science of it balances. I don't quite get it. But, if it works, it works.
when it comes to paints as well, what a lot of people fail to understand is every paint is different, and lighter colours have to have more pigment in them.
Mhm.
This is why things like oranges, yellows, whites, they're harder to paint because they're so thin. It's not that they're a bad paint. Again, you know, I don't believe any paint is a bad paint, but some paints demand a bit more patience.
Yep.
And it's not a question of skill. It's not about a question about knowing all the techniques or having all the things. It's just about having a bit more patience, and maybe it's going to take 3 or 4 coats instead of 1 or 2.
I think that's a fair point, because I hate painting white. I can't stand it. But when everyone was raving on about the Pro-Acryl Bold Titanium white and how easy it went on, I was like, oh, fuck it, I should get that then. And it works. For someone that, you know, I'm not going to sit there for me and sort of build up my white in like 5-6 layers. If I just want to slap something on, sometimes I'll just slap it on. And I think it's also the other thing sometimes, like myself, might not have the patience for it sometimes and just think, I just want to get this fucking done.
Well, see, that's
move on to the next thing.
obviously Josh is very much my partner in crime.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm lucky to kind of, like, we were talking just before Christmas, and he really wanted a Harbinger of Decay, and I was lucky enough to go, oh, I really want to paint that, so he just sent it direct to me, and obviously I'll paint that for him. Now, the way I look at it is, and hobby wise, with models, obviously I paint one thing at a time. That's all I ever do. I never batch paint or anything like that. I just paint one thing at a time, because my time is really, really precious, and to, you know, it's my little slice of sitting down and just relaxing and just painting something. Other people, like Josh is a really good example. Josh doesn't really like painting that much. He does it to get it done.
Yep.
So things like speed paints, contrasts are, like, Josh is amazing. He will just go at it, and the way he'll just bang them out, and you go, Jesus Christ, you've done that already. I've done lives with Josh, and he's painted a miniature in an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of like, you know, trying to layer up green and stuff like that, because we look at it in 2 very different ways. You know, I look at it as this is my hobby, whereas Josh is like, no, this is just the first step to then me getting to use these miniatures in my hobby. So it's certainly, you know, it's different kind of sides of it, and it's what you want out of it and what your expectations are for, you know.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
See, when he's just saying on like tools of the trade, when it comes to like brushes, because there's so much variety of brushes out there, what do you go for in relation to a brush? Do you go for a cheap brush so you can just, or do you go for the kind of more expensive brushes?
I've always kind of stood by is that a bad tradesman will always blame his tools. So you can have the most expensive tools in the world, but if you're bad at what you do, then you'll always blame it. I think with brushes, it's a little bit of the other way around, because I don't think the brush doesn't make us the man. And still to this day, I use the cheap Citadel ones that are like £5, and they hold a good tip. And, you know, I got sent these ones from Artify again. You know, but they're slightly split, they're slightly bananaed. But I have ones that I actually really, really like that. And I think with it, as long as it's got a bit of a tip, because obviously what we're doing is very, very small kind of like work. If you're happy with where you are, then it doesn't really matter too much. You know, I've got a really expensive, my kids got it for me. All right, so this just to show you, can you see that layer of dust on there? I'm going to wipe it off now. And this is a Citadel Artificer layer. And if we just open it up, we can see the tip on it is immaculate. Because I think I've only ever used it twice, and I've had it for about 4 years. I don't think they even come in these tubes anymore, because I just don't need to. I can do most things with a small layer brush from Citadel that costs me £4 or £5. And
I think the other thing on that as well, like, brush care is such an important thing that I think a lot of people, when they start off, don't pay attention to, do they? They just like stick it into water, swirl it around, it's clean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The old little and off it goes, which is fine. And I think, you know, if you're buying a brush for £4 or £5, then go nuts. Obviously, if you are going to do expensive brushes and you like you know, the Artis Opus stuff, you know, then take care of them because they cost you a lot of money. If you're going to invest in brushes, then you should also invest the time into the brushes as well, because that's what's going to give you your longevity with that product. If that's what you like, that, you know, then absolutely 100%. Again, there isn't a right or wrong answer here. It's just really like, you know, I'm a bit tight. I'd rather buy a pint than an expensive paintbrush. So, you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah, my brush care's brutal. I swallow it in the water, guy, and then if I can't see paint on the brush, there's no paint in the brush.
Are you a licker, are you?
My wife likes me to lick. I do like to lick.
That, and I'm going to say this out loud, really, really now for everyone to see. It's fucking disgusting. Stop. You'll get dysentery. Stop doing that to your paint water. It's absolutely disgusting.
He's been in
Don't
the
come crying
army.
to me
He's
when
probably
you
had
need
dysentery
like
already.
an organ or something because you've been licking iffy paint water. No, that's rank. Stop doing it. Do what I do. And
I've licked and ate a lot worse, and I'm still here. So I'll take my chances.
what did I had a fantastic saying the other day. My dick has led me to places I wouldn't go to with a gun. But what I do
Yeah.
is I wash the brush out, and I've got a habit now, and my wife tells me off for this because she can't. At first, she couldn't work out what the marks were. Is that I wash my brush out, and I go, and I pull the brush like that, and I was getting these weird paint lines in my shirt here because I'm drying the brush like that, and she was like, "What are all these marks on your top?" And I'm like, I don't know. It was me doing that. Stop licking your brushes. It's not cool, and you'll get dysentery.
But will you though? Is that scientific?
I've actually made a little song about it.
Well, you're going to have to bust it out now.
Okay, we
Can't
go.
you?
If you lick your brush, you'll get dysentery.
There we go, folks. An exclusive for 2025. This
Yeah.
year's Christmas #1.
Spotify soon. That will be, yeah.
And
If that's not on your Spotify Wrapped,
that's advice that we've had on after the group of brush lickers from last week. So maybe we should have had before them.
have you checked in on them lately? Are they okay?
They're pretty messed up anyway. I don't think
Probably
it's
an
too
AA
late.
somewhere. Dysentery.
Yeah, the toxicity from the old whites have gone to their brains already.
They were gone long before the dysentery got them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, there you go. That's the top tip for the week from our guest. Don't get dysentery from licking your brushes.
Yeah, don't do it. It's disgusting.
Cool. I think there's one last question I've got for you, Rob, before we call it a night. And it's probably the longest.
Why do you want to call it a night? Is this because Traitors is on?
It is because Traitors is on. Yes, I'm not going to lie.
Better things to do, yeah.
Don't make me go back to Love Island. Yeah.
Got it. It's not. Oh, don't. Jesus Christ.
When I put that poll up yesterday, Rob said that either way, me watching Royal Rumble, you watching Love Island, is like someone just, he'd rather shit in his hands and clap.
Take that.
Yeah.
When your knee is on the mend, and you can sit back behind your desk again, what are your plans for the rest of the year?
When I can sit like comfortably, I mean, I'm going to masturbate my fucking tits off first. Then I think I've got I was working on some Snarlfang riders, which I was really enjoying. And there's this guy, he's kind of sitting there half done, and I just can't bring myself to sit there and do it. So I'd like to do that. I've got a Harbouring of Decay for Josh, which I'm really looking forward to doing. It's a great miniature. I've wanted to paint it for a while. But I will just see. Really, I don't really. I'm not that up there with a plan. I just kind of where the wind takes me. I did pop to my local store the other day, and I picked up a free model. And I got the little striking scorpion guy.
Oh yeah.
He's got no arms, but he's there. So I might have a crack at him, and yeah. that's about it. The nice thing, again, not I always paint Dark Angels and stuff like that, and I'll get back to doing the lives on YouTube and stuff like that. I tend to get a really good crowd on my YouTube chat, which is always a good way of sitting down and hobbying. I always feel like you're doing it with someone as opposed to just kind of on your own. We were doing some Blade Guard. We were kit bashing some Blade Guard, which was really, really good fun with my community. And then we started painting them as well. And, I've got that to finish. So, there's a few little projects here and there and stuff, but nothing really, set in stone. Something could be released tomorrow. And I go, I'm going to have a crack at that.
Fair enough.
So,
that is so refreshing that you just paint what the fuck you want, and it's not for any meta reason, more just that you want to paint it, which is brilliant, because as we all know, people get so fucking pernickety about, that's not really the Dark Angels colour. Well, how the fuck do you know? I've just made up a new company and this is the colour they fucking wear.
So I had this conversation with one of the staffers at Games Workshop when Josh, hobby hero Josh. I was lucky enough to go as his +1. He fucked the absolute shit out of me for 2 nights, but I did get to go and open bar. And we were speaking to one of the executives there, and I was talking about obviously Dark Angels, and I was chatting about why I think they're a really good faction. And I've said this before on lives, and people ask me why Dark Angels, and why I think they're a really good. When Games Workshop does stuff right, they do it really, really right, and it's because of the grey area within their lore that it's kind of like a free pass to do what you want, because they're so secretive. It gives you that free pass because no one really knows if that's right or wrong. No one really knows what's going on behind their doors. So in actual fact, you've got carte blanche to kind of just paint what you want and do it, because you can go, oh, no, it's just a secret part that you don't know about it yet. You would know if she goes to another school. It's that type of thing. And I think that gives, that part of the Dark Angels a really, really good, ambiguity to do what you want. And I think that's what makes them a really good faction. When people say about Space Marines, I always say, do Dark Angels, because you do what you want. You paint them any colour in the world. You bright pink if you wanted to. No one would be able to tell you otherwise, because they're just a secret chapter in the rock, secret legion in the rock that no one knew about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very good point.
And so when people bring out their female Dark Angels, it's just like a secret sect that nobody really.
Nobody's going to know. Exactly. There is no right. There is no wrong. There is no, to any of it. You've got a real good, because of the ambiguity. It gives you that free pass to do what you want. And I don't think a lot of chapters have that, which is a shame. Because I think there should always be an element of, we're going to let you fill this in, because isn't this about being creative? Isn't it about having an imagination? We like to imagine these epic battles happening on the friggin' tabletop, but I can only paint in green. Isn't that like the biggest oxymoron ever of that type of, juxtaposition? It just baffles me that you would want to stifle creativity when you're expected to have the best imagination going.
Yeah.
So I think, that's, why Dark Angels are the best.
Right. I think because Casey wants to go away and watch the trailers, I would speak to you. I wouldn't finish the conversation here, Rob. I would continue. But because Casey is so determined to go and see the trailers.
So,
throw me under the bus.
What are you watching?
The Traitors on BBC.
Right, okay.
It's decent. It's trash TV, but it's decent.
Okay, no, that's fine. It's all right. I'll come on again later, and I wanted to be the 69th, but
yeah, they got in there ahead of you. But I think, we'll definitely get you back on, Rob, later on in the year, because it's taken me ages to convince you to come on, and I was happy just to let you do your thing. You messaged us, and you're like, come on, then let's do it. And I love you for that. I gotta admit,
I hate doing interviews and stuff. I feel a lot better with this one because I know you.
Yeah.
Whereas, you go on to some, and you do get the generic same questions where they go, you know, how did you get into the hobby? You go, if you could only paint one thing, what can it be? What's your favourite colour? You think, you fucking waste my time. You know, it becomes like, is that really what you want to ask me? You know, it could be absolutely anyone. But I think, you know, talking about hobby and the different outlooks that people have, I think is far more interesting side of it to kind of, you know, people's experiences, people's what they like, what they don't like, is a great way of kind of getting a different outlook, a different perspective, and stuff like that. So it's definitely, yeah, I always say that I'm going to try and be a bit more involved, but that never lasts long, and I just go down a pub and don't talk to anyone. So,
Well, maybe that's the alternative. We just go to a pub
yeah,
and we just get pissed and we chat shit. And at some point, Inquisition Fest 2025 will happen, and maybe we'll get you along to that.
yeah, absolutely, yeah, be great. We'll stick us with Joe from Encounter Training. We'll have a good old bevy or something. He likes whiskey, yeah, boy.
Yeah, I remember your live streaming from the pub that night where you were screaming.
God, yes, we did.
Yeah.
Oh God, we had the loveliest Glenfiddich. Oh my God, and we had these steaks, and we went to the Fox and something right by some market.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I had to get home absolutely fucking trolleyed, and the next day I was just walking the dog. It was really, really early, and I was with the kids, and I cut through the sports field on the way home, and I literally had to go, look, that's where Daddy vomited like on the way. It was still there. And it was just, oh my God, I can't believe I got all the way back from like King's Cross on my own. Like even the wife went, I don't know how you got home.
You survived. You just you watched Predator that many times in the Running Man that you just used those skills and
I was everywhere. You'd never seen me.
You're swinging through the trees on your way back. That's what it was.
Hounslow Heath, just like creeping through. But yeah, no, hey, I'll come back on and we'll have a chat and that. And
Cool. So just before you shoot off and we call it a night, where, as this is your chance, give yourself a plug. Off you go.
Hello. No, so for those who don't know me, my name's Rob, and I run Cat Rabbit Scale Model Studios. Find me a lot of time on Instagram. I always post work, whips, stuff like that, and stuff I like. You'll also find me on YouTube as well under Cat Rabbit Scale Model Studios, where I do quite a variety of stuff. I can just do what I want: unboxing, paint videos, kit bashing, live streams. Just, you know, what I kind of want to do, and, you know, come along for the ride. And it's very chill. It's jazzy. I like my jazz music, and yeah, that's it. Just come down and just say hi.
Lovely. Well, once again, thank you very much for coming on.
No,
we'll get you back on in a year. And maybe we'll get you and Josh on at the same time, because it was always you two doing your thing on a Wednesday night that inspired me.
Yes.
There we go. So, cool. Oh, lovely. Palace have just gone 2-0 up. Donk, any last words from you, mate?
Remember.
Okay.
Is that it? Just remember. Or is he frozen? I don't even know.
No, that's it. Yep. Okay. Okay.
Folks, we are back next week. Someday. I don't even remember who it is. Actually, I can't remember who it is. Is it Siege Studios next week? We've got a guest next week.
Siege. It is Siege next week, yes.
Siege Studios.
Siege next week, and then Rock Miniatures the week after.
There we go.
Richard O'Keefe. Yeah. Richard's a lovely guy. He's a really, really cool guy.
Yeah, that was one of your hookups from Salute. I picked up the card and message and was like, "Do you want to come on and chat to us?" And I went, "Yeah, cool."
Yeah, Richard he's a lovely guy, and what he does and the stuff he prints out is big on 3D printing. He's a really, really lovely guy.
There you go. There's a plug for another week there. Let's get that recorded. Let's get it on again.
First.
Right, folks. Let's get Tracy to go and watch some Traitors. I'm away to watch some Love Island. The puppet is going out for a pee.
Yeah, I got to do mine.
But you've got to do your pee or get your dog out.
Yeah, I got to do my way. Yeah.
Right, I'll see you later on, folks. See you next
See you
week
later.
when we've got
Take care.
Studios.
Bye-bye.
Keep
Bye.
it
Cheers, bro.
squeezy. Love you
Catch you
all.
later.
Bye.